Coming up, a couple staying at the Butler Inn was caught cooking something in their room that put them behind bars.
And later, Western Campus could be getting a new addition, but at the expense of some local history. Welcome to Oxford Weekly News. I'm Allie Schultz.
And I'm Katie Espolita. April 16th, Oxford police arrested 2 people who say they were caught cooking crystal meth at the Butler Inn. Oxford Weekly News reporter Chrissy Zessen has the story.
Thanks, Katie. I went to the Butler Inn to hear some of the reactions to the recent drug bust, including an exclusive interview with a relative of one of the accused. Oxford police arrested James R. Bowman and Crystal N. Diefenbach on April 16th after officers busted a suspected meth lab operating in room 25 of the Butler Inn. Both Bowman and Diefenbach are currently out on bail. A relative of Bowman, who does not wish to be named or shown on camera, says she was surprised by the location of the bust.
I wasn't surprised. It was total shock. I knew he was on drugs. I just didn't know what. I knew he'd done other things, but I didn't know this, and especially in a motel room. This is a business.
Oxford Police Sergeant John Varley says there's an upside to the motel bust.
It's good because it's 1 less or 2 less people, especially if they get sent to prison, there's 2 less people that will be out there doing it or cooking.
Varley adds that these situations can also bring negative effects as well.
Oxford's not immune from any of these issues either, and it could bring to light to make some people realize that we're just like any other city.
With graduation just around the corner, the Butler Inn is short 1 room for one of Oxford's biggest weekends. Property manager of the Butler Inn, Mark Lawson, also did not want to do an on-camera interview, but did say he's nervous for graduation. But he is taking the precautionary measures to fix this problem, and his business has not been negatively affected.
It hasn't really affected my business. Actually, the business this past weekend was really good. It actually was twice as much as last year.
Damages from the lab will cost the suspects $5,000, and Oxford Inn room 25 will be shut down for 30 days. Back to you, Katie and Allie.
One of the oldest buildings on Miami's campus could be the site of a new dorm. This week, I looked into why Patterson Place might soon be demolished.
A 117-year-old house on Miami's campus may soon be torn down to make room for a new dorm. Patterson Place, located on the Western College for Women Historic District, has been part of Miami since 1898 when Miami trustee James Patterson made it his summer home.
It's disappointing, but that's looking at it from our side of the fence.
After Patterson's death in 1913, the house was home to Western College's presidents. Today, Patterson Place houses the Western College Alumni Association.
It's not that we're not considering certain structures on campus and their importance, both in our history and to our future, but there are a lot of things we have to weigh.
Patterson Place is also a museum, with items ranging from panels carved in 1580 to the desk where Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote part of Uncle Tom's Cabin. If the building is torn down, the historic artifacts will be moved to nearby Stillman Kelly Studio. The house is currently expensive to maintain, and Miami's Board of Trustees finds this site to be the most cost-effective for a new dorm.
The additional cost to site this building elsewhere is significant. The cost that gets borne by students, they are the ones who end up paying the cost of the new residence hall.
The Western College Alumni Association couldn't speak with me on camera until a decision is made, but they did say they hope to see Patterson Place saved when the Board of Trustees officially decides in June.
The Unclassified Personnel Advisory Committee held a networking lunch April 28th at Harris Dining Hall to discuss findings from Miami's 2015 Alcohol Task Force report. Director of Student Wellness Rebecca Baudry is a co-chair for the force and spoke at the event about how the university plans to combat student drinking.
Our charge is to look at high-risk alcohol behaviors, but what we found is that what often happens is there's a lot of other things that get mixed in with that, right? So it's alcohol and marijuana, or it's alcohol and prescription drugs.
Work groups within the task force will form this spring, and regular meetings will be held starting this August.
A fire broke out at 419 South Locust Street, where the new Miami Preserve apartments are located, on April 30th. The fire started in building 251 in one of the bedroom areas. The apartment complex is still under construction, so there were no residents living there at the time. The cause of the fire is unknown.
The Memorial Garden is in the planning phase to commemorate Rebecca Eldmeyer, the geography student whose life was tragically cut short this past February. The garden is part of the Scheidler Hall renovation. Eldmeyer's professor and advisor, David Prithridge, says it's a way for the department to teach students about the environment and a student who is committed to it.
So some people would visit the garden and not know that it had anything to do with Becca. We would like to have a plaque and a stone there so that people could learn that this garden kind of reflected the passions of this really remarkable student. But I think that Becca would probably want the garden to be less about her than about people coming out and learning about, again, the relationship between plants and animals and the environment and stormwater, and also just a beautiful spot.
Prithridge says he is happy to be able to honor one of the geography department's most inspired students.
Oxford and Miami mourn the death of a man who made an impact in the community as well as for the university. Bernie Phelps died on Friday, April 24th at age 93. He was the founding director of Miami University's Hamilton campus and was the former mayor of Oxford. His passion was teaching, which he returned to after leaving his position as the director of the Hamilton campus. He was also once the voice of Miami football.
He until not so terribly long ago, he was still working out on a recumbent bike and doing walking laps of the facility here, inside, not outside. Very friendly man, always had a smile, genuinely liked people. You know, a lot of people say they like people, they sort of do and sort of don't. Dad really liked people. He liked to find out what people were up to and how they were doing and what was going on. And he was a good guy.
Bernie led an active and full life in the Oxford community, and he retired to the Knolls, a retirement community that he proposed and developed and saw to fruition. He will be greatly missed.
Welcome back to Oxford Weekly News. I'm Katie Espolita. A local school district recently voted to get its students personal Google Chromebooks as early as the 3rd grade. This week I found out more about the benefits and consequences of technology for young learners. Talawanda Board of Education voted on April 20th to provide individual electronic devices for each of its students as early as kindergarten and to create a web-based classroom for students as early as the 3rd grade. Michelle Cosma, a clinical faculty member in Miami's education department, says recent studies show that most families have at least 5 different devices at home. But the schools are getting this technology not to cater to those students, but to help the students who don't have access to these devices keep up.
But then we have a handful of children that do not. And so school is sometimes the place where we can, provide them those opportunities and level the playing field. We don't want them to get behind in technology when our world is so driven by technology.
Cosma says that schools and teachers need to introduce technology to young learners in a delicate way. For example, typically when they teach students how to read, they teach them to read left to right and from the top of the page to the bottom. But this is different from the way we read a digital format. Cosma says our eyes move in an F pattern, scanning across headers, down columns, and then left to right, which could confuse young readers. Kathy Johnson, a 3rd grade teacher at Maud Marshall Elementary School in Oxford, says she has mixed emotions about the transition to a tech classroom.
Students know so much more than we know, so that is that's helpful, and it's exciting and overwhelming all at the same time. But the students need it. It's definitely what the world is about.
Johnson says there is a learning curve for teachers with the new devices, but Cosma says that's no excuse.
We cannot just say, I don't understand how to use it, so I'm not going to use it in the classroom. Even children that don't know how to use different devices or different programs, they figure it out. So as adults, we have to do our own research. We have to make sure that we are digitally literate in order to help our students.
Cosma says teachers should remember not to substitute their teaching practices with technology, but use these devices to enhance the learning environment. Talawanda already provides personal devices for its high school students, but will include its younger learners this upcoming fall.
May is Older Americans Month. Tyler Kelly, a senior at Miami, works with Oxford residents age 65 and older through the Silver Sneakers program at the Recreation Center. Kelly says there is a lot to learn from the older Americans in our community.
They're just so positive, and they are just very mentally strong. So when they have like an issue, or because at that age you have to, a lot more life experiences have happened. You've had experiences with losing friends and family, like breaking relationships, things like that, and they just are so resilient and tell you to just like keep going, stay positive.
Silver Sneakers is the nation's leading exercise and health program for older adults. And to get involved, visit the Rec Center's website at rec.miamioh.
Make It Music Week at Miami took place April 24th through May 2nd. Many of Miami's musical groups, including Collegiate Chorale, Choraleers, Chamber Singers, the Symphony Orchestra, and Men's Glee Club, held concerts for the public. The show Avenue Q in Miami's Dance Theater also hosted concerts this week, featuring dance and puppet performances. All concerts were open to the public, and the Department of Music welcomes students of all majors who have a passion for music performance to participate in ensembles.
Springfest returned to campus on April 30th, welcoming the warm weather with free funnel cakes and rides for students. The event takes place every year, and despite being moved from Cookfield to Central Quad this year, it still held a number of rides, including a zip line. The event is put on by Miami's Activities and Programming organization and attracted crowds of students even through on and off rain showers.
On April 28th, the University Senate elected 3 faculty members to be on the 2015-2016 Executive Committee. Abdullah Sain was elected committee chair, Yvette Harris, chair-elect, and Catherine Wagner at-large. Coming up on Oxford Weekly News, 2 Miami football alums turned NFL rivals come together for their alma mater.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Oxford Weekly News. On April 25th, Miami University Athletics opened David and Anita Dow Indoor Sports Center. Oxford Weekly News reporter Vanessa Thornton has more.
Thanks, Katie. There were a lot of hugs between Steelers and Raven fans on April 25th as Roethlisberger and Harbaugh came to Miami to support a common cause.
Miami University's David and Anita Dow indoor facility had its grand opening. Miami alum and Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger came to support Red Hawk Athletics during the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Roethlisberger donated $1 million to the new athletic field. In attendance, Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh came to show his support too. The rival between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers is there. They meet together in a friendlier setting as they come together for the love of their school.
You know, people talk about the rivalry that is Baltimore-Pittsburgh, and there's no doubt it's there, but there's also that Miami that kind of trumps a little bit of all that as well.
Miami football coach Chuck Martin has the opportunity to train and develop his players year-round and have donors like Ben Roethlisberger and John Harbaugh contribute to the facility.
It's crazy just because you can brag about them as alums and what they do, but when families and kids hear that they're actually actively involved, not only just coming today, but just financial support, but then also just, you know, they've called people to get support from other people.
The field is named after Roethlisberger, who graduated from Miami in 2012, while Harbaugh graduated in 1984.
Miami's a great place, you know, and treasured forever, but this takes it to another level. I think this is a statement that Miami football, Miami athletics, you know, are big time to stay.
This huge step for Miami athletics leaves Roethlisberger giving one last tip to Coach Martin.
You open the door, I'll say it, Coach, you have no excuse now. You've got a great facility like this. Keep it going now, okay?
The year-long project is finally over, and there's no more excuses, with the reality and dreams just waiting to happen.
The next project in store for Miami will be to kickstart the Performance Center. Back to you, Katie and Allie.
An open forum was held April 28th to discuss the creation of a new Food Studies Institute at Miami. The program was funded by a $200,000 Innovation and Interdisciplinary Program grant from Miami's Provost Office. It will be directed by Miami Associate Professors Alfredo Huerto and Peggy Schaffer.
I'm really looking forward to collaborating with so many different faculty and students and staff across campus that are interested in sustainable agriculture and the future of food.
And students are excited about it. They're interested in food. It's a wonderful way to engage in conversation. And so I see so many possibilities.
The program is expected to be in full swing within the next 3 years.
Spoon University's official college dining hall guide named its 36 best college dining halls in North America. Miami University's Western Dining Commons came ranked 14th behind Manhattan College's Locke's Loft and the Marist College's Dining Hall.
46 Rules of Genius, an innovator's guide to creativity by Marty Neumeier, has been selected as the book for Miami University's summer reading program. Instead of a traditional speaker at Freshman Convocation, Chicago's improv group Second City will perform.
The 12th annual Sherry Corbett Lecture took place on April 29th. The lecture series is in honor of Corbett, who taught sociology and criminology at Miami for more than 25 years, before her death in 2002. This year's speaker, Dr. Nicole Kaufman, who spoke about different types of control of government has over those in the American prison system.
That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us. I'm Allie Schultz.
And I'm Katie Espolita. You can watch us online at MiamiOHTV.com. Also, connect with us on Twitter and Facebook at Oxford Weekly News.